please welcome to the TEDxSonoma County stage, Luanne Nightingale and Matt Nightingale.
August 1993. 300 people stand to their feet. All eyes are on me as the wedding march starts to play and I begin the most significant walk of my life. At the end of the aisle, smiling in his black tuxedo, stands the man I've fallen in love with, my best friend, my soulmate. With each step, I grow more confident. This is what I wanted, to fall in love, to get married, to establish a home, to be a wife, and hopefully someday a mother.
I watch as my best friend walks down the aisle toward me. She's beautiful in her white dress and beaming behind her veil. I'm smiling too, but my mouth is dry and my heart is pounding. I stand up a little straighter, smile a little bigger. This is what I've always wanted, to find a woman to marry, a partner for life and ministry, a friend to do life with.
April 2002. 9 years later, I'm a mom to 4 amazing little ones. They fill my life with love and joy, and believe it or not, chaos. I'm exhausted most of the time, especially with a new set of twins in the mix, but I count my blessings every day. I love my husband. I love everything that has come from our union. I have a marriage and a family and a life I'm truly proud of.
9 years later, I'm 30 years old, father to 4 precious children. I'm a music minister full-time in a large church in the San Francisco Bay Area. I am living the life I've always wanted to live, the life that has always been expected of me. Wife, kids, music, friends, ministry. It's beautiful. But I have a secret that I live with every day of my life. I'm starting to feel torn inside. I thought I could keep this secret forever, but I'm starting to realize I can't. I feel like I'm lying all the time. Even though no one can see it, I feel guilty all the time, like I'm failing everyone.
One evening, I walked downstairs to go to bed. The house is quiet, the kids are all sound asleep, and I look forward to debriefing the day with my husband. But something is off tonight. He's acting really strange and distracted. And so I ask him what's wrong. His answer changes my life forever.
I'm exhausted. I can't keep hiding like this. I want to be known and loved for who I am, not for who I'm pretending to be. And I've promised myself I will not lie to her anymore. So when she asks me what's wrong with me, I realize that my moment of truth-telling has arrived. So I take a deep breath, and I look her in the eye, and I tell her what's wrong with me. I tell her everything. I am gay. I've known since I was 10 years old. I've been pretending to be straight all these years. I am so sorry.
He told me he loved me. He told me he would get help. He told me he wanted to overcome his same-sex attraction, as we called it back then. We began to let others into our story. Church leaders, counselors, close friends. We knew we couldn't walk this road alone. Our faith tradition taught that same-sex attraction was just another temptation that a man or woman could overcome with enough prayer and therapy and hard work. And now that my husband was being honest, we began to seek and find resources that promised to help him change.
I had heard of ex-gay programs and people who had claimed to be cured, set free from their homosexuality, and I was going to be a success story. I did everything they told me to do. 12-step groups, reparative therapy, counseling, books and books and books, retreats and seminars and conferences, prayer and healing services, individual accountability, small groups. I was on a mission. I was going to be fixed. And I was going to be, if not entirely straight, straight enough.
I thought we could get through this. I thought our love would be enough, but that began to change. After a few years of watching my husband attempt to change his sexual orientation, it became clear to both of us that he was and always would be attracted to men. But we were still committed to each other and to our family. We both chose to stay in the marriage because we believed it would create the most stable environment for our children. We continued to experience the good that came from our partnership as husband and wife, and we believed it would best honor God, our families, and our faith community. And besides, I liked being a wife. I was good at navigating the ins and outs of our unique but familiar relationship.
In the early years of this season of our marriage, I felt great hope. Even though I continued to feel attraction for other men, I really learned how to shut down those feelings, to avoid situations where I might be tempted. I worked hard to focus all my energy and attention on my wife. But even underneath that seemingly successful exterior, I battled a chronic sense of not good enough. Every time I would feel some kind of attraction for another man, every time I would feel some kind of emotional connection, I would beat myself up. I would feel so guilty, confess it in shame, and vow to try harder next time. It was so frustrating that I could somehow manage the exterior world, I could manage my behaviors, but on the inside, nothing ever changed.
Over the years, I watched my husband distance himself from me. He began to identify as gay instead of just same-sex attracted, and our theology, our view of God and human sexuality shifted as well. We began to see the beauty of the diversity of sexual orientation and gender identity. As you tell an emotional story, sometimes you need just a moment. But as our lives became more open and honest, my dreams were being crushed. I knew I would never have a husband who would honestly be able to tell me I was beautiful to him, that he adored me, that he wanted to spend his life with me. And as he began to embrace his identity as a gay man, he became more and more blatantly honest with me. I'll never forget the time he looked me in the eyes and said, "I am not attracted to you. I never was and I never will be." And it's not that I didn't already know that, but something about hearing those words so boldly in the clear light of day broke my heart. Even though we were still committed to each other, I knew then and there my marriage would not be what I wanted.
The guilt I felt from not being able to love my wife in the way that she deserved to be loved was overwhelming. And I began to get more and more depressed, anxious, unsettled. By the time the summer of 2015 rolled around, 22 years into our marriage, I found myself in the darkest place of my life. I still had so much to be thankful for. A really great career with colleagues I really cared about, happy and healthy children, and a marriage built on love and respect and support and honesty. But I couldn't imagine losing any of those things. I loved them so much. But as I looked forward into the future, I couldn't imagine sustaining this life for the rest of my life either. I felt absolutely trapped. I looked forward and I saw a trajectory of increasing frustration, increasing distance and loneliness, lack of trust, lack of intimacy. I realized that it was beginning to kill us, slowly but surely, robbing the life and joy from us. That fall, I came out to a really good friend of mine, and he understood my dilemma. He knew why I so desperately wanted to keep things the way they were, but he asked me a pointed and poignant question. At what cost? How many years are you shaving off of your life? That question haunted me, and I began for the first time in my life to seriously consider the idea of divorce. I knew then, even as I know now, that there are no guarantees for either of us. There's no promise of happiness, of loving and compatible future relationships, of happy ever after. But I had to ask myself if I was willing to take the risk to give up something good in the hopes of maybe finding something real, authentic, and life-giving.
And so in February of 2016, my husband told me he decided to leave our marriage. He couldn't pretend anymore. It was what I had feared for years. I understood how we got to this point, but that didn't change the hurt and betrayal and sadness that I felt. Even after finding out about his sexual orientation, I gave my life, heart, and soul to this man for 14 years. I felt like I got the raw end of the deal. I felt used and discarded. I was heartbroken.
And you know what? You absolutely did get the raw end of the deal. I have to admit it. It's not fair. It's awful. I hate it. And I'm so sorry. And I know now that the only thing I can do is to try to live the rest of my life in authenticity, to love truthfully and honestly. I feel like I'm in this process of undoing the damage that I caused. I am untelling the lie. The process of deciding to come out publicly and live as an openly gay man was excruciating, the most difficult decision of my life. But in the end, I decided that the hope of new life for both of us, for all of us, was worth the pain and the risk of letting go of our marriage. Everything's different now, though, I have to tell you, and this is still very recent. Very recent. I can no longer work in the denomination that I served for 16 years. This has launched us into financial insecurity like we've never experienced before. We've lost friends over this. I certainly have lost my reputation as a good Christian husband, father, and pastor. And that's not to mention the challenges that we face in our day-to-day life with our children, in our home, as we deal with the reality of separation and new living situations. It's painful. But I still have to believe that in the end, somehow it will be worth it. I have to believe that the truth really does set all of us free. I have to believe that love does win.
August 1993, I walked down the aisle toward the smiling, frightened, earnest man who will become my husband and then my ex-husband. I can't imagine the joys and the grief that lie ahead of us.
November 2016. Here we are, right in the middle of our story. And today we are choosing a hopeful perspective. We both sacrificed so much to accept the challenges of this mixed orientation marriage. But today we choose gratitude over regret.
Ours is a story of perspectives, two differing perspectives on one beautiful and complicated relationship.
Changing perspectives over time on sexuality, faith, and family.
And healthy perspectives, choosing gratitude over regret.
I don't regret the life that brought our 4 beautiful children into the world. And I'm hopeful that our unique modern family will continue to be united, supportive, and loving.
I don't regret the life that taught me how to truly love, to commit, and to remain faithful despite challenges. I'm hopeful that truth and authenticity will allow us all to live more abundantly.
I don't regret the powerful friendship that has been forged over 25 years together. And I am hopeful that it will continue and grow and thrive and sustain us through whatever is to come.
I don't regret the many years of shared joys and sorrows. I'm hopeful that there will be many more happy family memories, knowing we want the best for each other.
A couple months ago, one of our sons said to us, if any family can do this, I think ours can. We agree. We believe that too. We've decided from now on that our anniversary will be celebrated as Nightingale Family Day, the day that our beautiful, crazy family came into existence. This is a hard story, but it's also a good story. We're trying to do this well. We're trying to love each other through all the complexities. And for us, today and as we move into the future, that means embracing the perspective of gratitude and hope. Thank you.